Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Corbett Report. I'm your host, James Corbett of CorbettReport.com, and you are tuned into Solutions Watch, that weekly series where week in and week out, we look at the ideas, movements, and tools that you can use to improve your life and hopefully change the world for the better. And this week, as you may have noticed, you have been blessed with not just one, but two installments of the Solutions Watch series, and this special Friday edition is coming to you on a special Friday for a particular reason, which will make itself apparent shortly enough. And in order to understand where this is coming from, I think we'll point to a couple of reports from the past. Firstly, and most recently, I think this relates to that conversation that I was just having earlier this week on Solutions Watch with Catherine Austin Fitts on Cash Fridays. An important idea and a great one. I'm very glad to see Catherine Austin Fitts and Solari.com talking about that as a potential solution to the going direct reset and what we're going through, or at least one part of that solution. And here's another iteration of that idea that was being developed independently, even as Catherine Austin Fitts was working on her iteration of this idea. This iteration is called Black Market Fridays, and you can access this through blackmarketfridays.com. That's probably the simplest and easiest URL to use. Of course, it will not only be linked in the show notes for today's episode, it will be linked in the sidebar of CorbettReport.com, so you will be able to access it very easily. And what is Black Market Fridays? Well, hopefully this rings a bit of a bell for people who have been paying attention to the Corbett Report for more than 6 or 7 months, because you'll remember late last year, there was a Solutions edition of the video podcast where I talked to Ernest Hancock and Mike Swadek about Black Market Friday, singular. Well, that concept is being extended and expanded into Black Market Fridays, plural. So, if you have no idea what any of this is about, the very long story short is that Black Market Friday is an idea that occurred to Ernest Hancock back in 2015 to take the energy that swirls around Black Friday, which I believe, I'm not American, so Americans in the crowd can correct me on this, but I believe is the Friday after Thanksgiving. The day after Thanksgiving is a big shopping day there in the U.S. and the start of the big Christmas shopping season. So there's a lot. It's one of the biggest sales days of the year, and a lot of retail business is done that day. And Ernest Hancock had the idea of taking the energy surrounding Black Friday and putting it towards something hopefully more productive. And his idea back in 2015, Black Market Friday, as in free market. When you hear black market, think free market. It doesn't necessarily mean illegal goods or illegal transactions. It just means a genuinely free market, exchanging directly with those people around you and hopefully avoiding even the middleman of the central bank by avoiding the filthy fiat currency as well. But on that note, so that is Black Market Friday, and he had that idea in his back pocket and some URLs surrounding that for several years. But as you'll recall, and I hope you saw this at the time, I think it was quite fun, during my regular weekly appearance on Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock late last year, we were talking, that idea came up, and live on air we started brainstorming it. Okay, let's do it for this year, let's launch it, let's get it going. And we brought in Mike Swadek to the conversation of agorist.market, a website that I hope you've checked out by now, and we redirected the Black Market Friday URL to agorist.market so that people could go there and see different agorist enterprises that had their products listed in the various ways that you could purchase it through cash or silver or gold or crypto or various other means, barter, what have you. Various ways of transacting freely with other people and hopefully growing the counter economy that is going to be a necessary part of whatever it is that survives the coming economic/monetary crisis we are being put into quite deliberately. The controlled demolition of the economy, not just the economy, the monetary base is happening, something that I think I stressed and underlined with Catherine Austin Fitts in our conversation earlier this week. So I'll throw in the links to all of those previous conversations and bits of this puzzle so that you can get caught up to speed if need be. But the idea, of course, is instead of Black Market Friday being the day after Thanksgiving and being a once-a-year thing, no, let's make this a once-a-week thing. Every Friday, can you find out an agorist business and support it in some way other than simply scanning your credit card or your barcode or whatever the microchip implanted in your forehead or whatever is coming next? And so we're going to try to push this, Black Market Fridays. and see if people can start to grow, again, that counter economy. So it was in my regular weekly appearance on Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock this week that I asked Ernie to introduce this concept of Black Market Fridays to people and tell them what it's all about.
Black Market Fridays came from, originally in 2015, we had blackmarketfriday.info. And the reason is because we could see that at least one day a year that you would not use the big box, you're not going to Walmart, you're not using Amazon, you're not, using the war dollar, it's, because using the U.S. dollars is a political decision. You could use cash, whenever, a lot of us would always make a point of asking for a discount if we paid in silver on Craigslist or a car or something like that. And in crypto, and we'd always, and I'm up here in New Hampshire now, where you get a big discount. Oh, you want me to plow your snow? That's $150, $100 if you pay me in crypto. That kind of thing. So it's been already for a long time us really trying to emphasize that in our community. Well, we wanted that, if we figured we could do one day, and after Christmas, go buy a better version of it out of wood made in America or whatever on Craigslist and get the better version of something for Junior and have some quality stuff and pay cash for it and, Black Market Friday. Now, the thing is that it really was also just kind of break the ice, but to also get an infrastructure around your life that you know where to get food, that you don't have to use a dollar. What happens when they shut down your bank account? What happens when you want to barter services or goods that you have or something you manufacture? Where's your network? Who do you deal with? So what we did is we're going, yeah, this is, something you and I came up. Yeah, we're doing a show. And we go, Black Market Fridays. Boom. I remember I was in northern Austin in a big, giant Longhorn RV park or something. So we went and found, and yeah, it was available. blackmarketfridays.com, org.net. So we got that, and then we started working on it. Now, agorist.market, where it forwards to, is an agorist freaking, you don't need nothing. We're just going to list your product, and whoever wants to buy it and use alternative currencies, learn how to get, some meat and feed yourself and find a local vendor for cucumbers of whatever the heck, so that you have this ability, these contacts, to survive what be a coming. Something wicked this way is here. It ain't coming, we're here. So when you had Catherine Austin Fitz on talking about, Cash Fridays, I'm going, oh, hell yeah. And I appreciate the mention for this project too, but we're all in this mindset. We're starting to see what's going on. They are going to do what they always do. Make you go hungry. And if you don't have the ability to source your food and know how to do it and be I remember Rogers, what's his name? The billionaire biker, Jim Rogers. Jim Rogers, when I was producing for Charles, I'd be calling every week he would come on. And his whole thing back in like 05, 06, around in there, and his whole thing was, he says, the Ferrari drivers are going to be the farmers. He goes, when this goes, it's going to be food. So if you want to be wealthy and wise, man, you be able to be growing some food. So blackmarketfridays.com, org.net is all about you getting training so that you know that whatever happens here affects you a lot less. In fact, you can thrive.
The always ebullient Ernest Hancock of freedomphoenix.com introducing the concept there and doing it, I think, quite well, putting the emphasis on the right syllable in that introduction, because the point that I want to underline with this is that, of course, this is just the foot in the door. This is just an excuse to get people interested in the general idea of creating free markets, finding what free markets exist in their areas or what they have access to and how they can begin growing that counter economy. As I go on to say during that conversation, which I highly commend to your attention, I will put the link in the show notes so that you can go and watch the full conversation. But as I go on to say, yeah, this is the training wheels for people who are just starting to get used to this and starting to see how they can grow the free markets in their own areas and connect with like-minded people and start to grow that counter economy. And obviously, something that, again, I want to stress and underline, blackmarketfridays.com is the URL that we're promoting here, and it'll link to agorist.market so that people can begin looking at this. But obviously, this is just an idea, and it isn't related to a particular website or a particular URL or a particular hashtag. This is something that people need to start implying in their life and seeing how it fits into their life and how they can do it. And it's not about the particular branding of this idea. So anyone, of course, is free to take this and apply it and run with it in whatever way they want, and hopefully start to grow that counter economy in various ways that no central plan could even envision, let alone enforce. So that's the idea. Free people in free markets engaging in free interactions with each other freely. That's the idea. That's the goal. And we get there not all at once, overnight. This is going to completely change the system. You start a little bit at a time. And it's like I noticed a comment on Cash Fridays, my conversation with Catherine Austin Fitz. Well, it's not going to make a difference if it's only 1 day a week. Well, okay, yeah, but 1 day a week is a good start. And then, sure, 2 days a week, 3 days a week. How many days a week can you go? How many days in a row can you go? Cash only or supporting free markets only? That, I think, is the spirit in which this is coming. So this is a good, easy way to get people into that space and thinking along those lines. And obviously, it's going to grow from here. So the point is how we get into that. And I hope you will go and listen to the rest of that conversation with Ernest Hancock, because we get into some other related projects or other things that I think swirl around these same issues. He makes the point that communication is going to be an absolute linchpin to any growing of the counter economy, because if you can't find and connect with other people who are of like minds and who are willing to engage in these transactions, then you're not going to have much success, are you? So communication is going to be an important part of this. And on that note, he talks about some of the people that he's working with on various applications of, for example, being able to upload files, digital files like photographs or video recordings or audio recordings or text from your mobile device directly to IPFS, and then have it pinned there on IPFS. Uncensored, uncensorable, up forever and always. As long as there's anyone hosting it, it will be there. These are the types of things that are being worked on right now. And then couple that with the pirate box idea that Ernest Hancock is also helping to spearhead and getting developers on board with, an open source project for essentially a digital arc of information, or a mobile or a portable or holdable digital library of Alexandria, where we collect information from various independent media, etc. And it will hopefully be available in a single Raspberry Pi that you can then connect. It'll seed out onto IPFS, and it will be up there as long as there are people seeding it out. Those ideas are already in the works. They are already being developed, and not sometime off in the super far distant future. No, Ernie has already tried the upload directly to IPFS and has actually done that. So it is already working. They're just working on getting it tailored for user interface and what have you, but it's already there, and it will eventually connect to things like float.app, where it will just automatically take things from your RSS feed. So if it's supplying from IPFS, it'll just automatically post to Float. There are some incredible, really, truly amazing things that are happening right now that you wouldn't know about if you're only concentrating on the doom and gloom and the bad things that are happening. That's why we do Solutions Watch, is to draw attention to these ideas. So I guess the first step would be to watch the rest of that conversation on Declare Your Independence, familiarize yourself with some of those ideas, and obviously find the way in which Black Market Fridays can apply to you. Again, it doesn't necessarily mean this particular URL or going to agorist.market, although that might be a good way to at least start and to at least get an idea of what's going on. And when you're there, you will, of course, see the Corbett Report is listed there as one of the enterprises that you could support on Black Market Friday if you choose to. And of course, there is, I do accept crypto if you want to contact me for the details of that. But also, there's the James M. Pilato has the P.O. Box in the U.S. So in the U.S., you can send U.S. bank U.S. checks. More broadly, I guess you can send cash to P.O. Box, but I make zero guarantees. I personally don't know if I would trust the postal system to accurately deliver cash, so I cannot make any guarantee whatsoever that will work. But anyway, that's the verities, I suppose, or the pitfalls of having an online presence. But that's exactly why we have to know what we have access to online, but also, perhaps more importantly, what we have access to in the physical world, in our community, that we can actually physically interact with, the farmers markets, flea markets, the things that are actually in our community, where hopefully we can start to grow the counter economy and grow free markets outside of the purview of the going direct reset and the big banksters. It's a big problem, and obviously this is only a part of the solution, but it is a part, and I think it's something that we all have to start thinking about, and thinking about what our part in that solution is, because everyone listening to these words and understanding the gravity of this situation does have a part to play in the solution. So, all that being said, I'm just going to leave it there. As I say, all of the links to all of the relevant stuff will be in the show notes, and the link to Black Market Fridays will be up on the sidebar, so you won't be able to miss it. And on that note, I think we're going to leave it there for this second edition of Solutions Watch for this week, and I have more coming next week, so stay tuned for that, and thank you as always for your support. James Corbett, CorbettReport.com.